Hey guys, Coolbrick here, and you're probably wondering what this video is about, and I'm gonna address a problem that I've always had, and I'm sure a lot of other people have had this problem when building Lego cars in minifig scale as well. Um, so here's what the problem is. So I'll actually remove this middle car because the middle car is as close as I could come to a solution to the problem. So what's the difference between these two cars? The differences are this one is lower, and you can see there's no clearance in here between the wheel and the wheel arch. The downside, though, is that you've got these really wide wheels. They stick out a lot, um, and it looks kind of weird for a sports car like this to have. Oops. For a sports car like this to have such wide wheels. The reason they're wide is because you've got these axles that are inset, and they're inset so that it gets really near the wheel arch and it looks very snug. The problem with that though is um, because they're inset, they had to make the actual axle piece a half a stud wider on each side, and so in that it made the wheels or yeah, it made the wheels go out, stick out even farther. So this car is not actually 4 wide. This is an entire 1 stud wider because of the wheel arches and another stud wider because of the wheels themselves. So this is actually a 6 wide car, technically speaking. Um, and that doesn't always look good. I mean, some things will look good. On my Safari truck, for example, it looked good because it's a larger car. You want to have wheels that stick out. So the way to solve that, to make it in more, is to use this kind of axle instead, the non-inset kind. And the thing is, you get this kind of space in here. It raises the whole car up. And sometimes, like, it's okay on this car because this car looks sort of like an SUV kind of crossover sort of car. Um, but sometimes if it's a smaller car, like you wouldn't want to do that on this. You're gonna get it's gonna be very high up looking. Like if I lower the camera. Okay, so I lowered the camera and it's still kind of subtle, but there's a lot more ground clearance on this car than on this car. Especially if you look in this kind of front region, you can kind of see the fronts of these are actually pretty much the same kind of front. Um, so let's see, maybe if I. It's kind of hard to tell. In fact, maybe if I just go ahead and just take this off and just show it like, oh yeah, here we go. You know what? Now you can really see it. Um, you can see the one on the right side is significantly taller than the one on the left. So, even though it's really little, it's quite noticeable when you just have the two cars. Even now you can kind of tell. So anyway, let me get on to my solution to the problem, or at least partial solution. So I built this car, and it's supposed to be like a sporty car. And you can see you've got very little ground clearance. Like, look at this. It's really low to the ground, and it's also skinny. So the way I did this was I didn't use a standard car base plate. I achieved this by doing my own custom thing, which is basically doing something like this. I used a 2x12 plate, put the axles on top, the thin axles, and then I just put a 4x4 under here, and then that kind of simulates having a standard car chassis, mostly. It's almost the same. The only downside is you can't really put a minifig in here because if you look in, there's just like it's the 2x12 plate is really tall. Like on a standard car, this section would not be here. You would just have this plate, and it's connected. Like it's welded. Well, not welded, but it's molded plastic under here, so that this part doesn't need to be here, and the minifig is an entire plate height lower, and it's just very different. So This car looks really great as a standalone model. If you don't want to put this like in a city or something, I just threw this together in like 15 minutes. Um, but like this car just looks very wide, um, and big. You know, this is just so small and sleek looking, and then even compared to this, the height difference here is quite significant. If I put the wheels at the same level, you can see this one right here is like almost a brick's height taller. So yeah, you can, if you use this custom kind of way of doing things. So I'm not going to do a tutorial on this because this is literally all you need to know how to do. You just build this and then you just put the wheel arches on here and you're good to go. You know, then you can just figure out the rest by yourself. It's pretty self-explanatory. So yeah, if you guys don't care about putting minifigs in these, well, technically I can put one in. If I sort of cheat, so first I just took his hat off. I did in fact try putting a minifig in here before, and technically he fit, but yeah, I'll show you guys what I mean. So if I put him all the way forward like this, and then I lean him back like that. See, the real problem actually is not with the height. Like, obviously, he can be leaning forward some more. The real problem is, if you actually, well, first I'll show you guys what the problem is. The problem is these windows that I put in here. You know, that's the real problem. See, you have to lean him back there, otherwise the arms get in the way of those windows, because those windows are bricks. But if you don't care about, oops, didn't want to take that. If you don't care about having the windows, I actually think that you can decently fit a minifig in here, because without those window pieces, I think we can actually get him to a relatively okay height. I think maybe that's it without not doing anything else. I messed up. Oh, that explains why there's a gap in there. So yeah, it looks kind of awkward. I mean, I could move him forwards so that his head would be going under this, or if I just switched around the placement of these roof pieces like this, he can actually lean. He can go up higher. See, now he can fit in there. He does look kind of silly in there because he's just so high up. But so yeah, this is my solution to the problem. And even using this chassis, there are some problems. Like, you guys didn't notice this, but I can show you suddenly. This doesn't roll. Well, it can roll, but what you have to be careful of is, actually I'll keep this off, is if you push down, this 2x12 plate is going to come off from this 4x4, and then these are going to go into the wheels, and they won't let the wheels turn, so you have to make sure this is pushed down, and you know, be careful when you're driving this not to push down. See, now it rolls, nice. So yeah, that's my kind of solution to the problem. I mean, like I said, this car looks really great by itself, but you're never gonna succeed in fitting a minifig in this and making it look normal. So sorry, I did my best. You know, hopefully this is gonna be very helpful to people who really just like making cool models. So anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.